For more on the legal battle between Apple and the FBI, we are joined now by criminal defense attorney Randy Zelin. Randy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So Apple has vowed to fight this. What steps do they take legally to ensure that they're not forced to create a backdoor into their own phones?
Well, what will happen is Apple will go into court and they will make a motion to kill whatever the legal process that they've been served with to do this, whether it is an order, whether it is a subpoena, whatever it is. They go in and say, Judge, this is not cool. This has to be killed here and now. If that doesn't work, they would have the right to appeal. And ultimately, this may end up at the Supreme Court level. That's the good news, and let the real smart people figure out what to do. The bad news is there may not be time, because if the government is going to argue, listen, we need to get into this phone, there is an urgency, there's compelling circumstances, we want to thwart the next terrorist attack. We don't have time for this case to weave its way through our judicial system.
Right.
So, Randy, I'm trying to think about this in the context of the right to privacy and what the limits of the law as it relates to the privacy issues are. If, for example, one of these terrorists had a relationship with a psychiatrist and they were talking to the psychiatrist and they had divulged names of people that they've spoken to, could the government compel that psychiatrist to divulge what had been discussed in a client, doctor-patient relationship? Or a lawyer, you're talking to me,
no
and
doubt.
I say to you, hey, you know, I've got some things I'm thinking about doing, and you say to me, this is protected, nothing can ever happen. Is it the same?
Live by the sword, die by the sword. If we want to create a society where we know we have a right to privacy, that when I speak to a lawyer, I am safe in knowing that that lawyer will not give me up. When I go to my psychiatrist, I'm safe in knowing that psychiatrist will not give me up. Well, you can't pick and choose when it works for you. Now, there are, of course, exceptions. For example, a client cannot tell a lawyer what the client is going to do, commit a future crime. I can tell my lawyer what I've already done. That's privileged. We also have the exception in the pharmaceutical fraud case where you can't use your lawyer to further a fraud. That's called the crime fraud exception. With the psychiatrist example, look what we went through with the horrific shootings in Colorado.
Right.
Were the psychiatrist notes, conversations, were those privileged, or was that privilege waived? Not because he said horrible things to the psychiatrist, but if you put your own psychiatric condition and issue, then you waive it. Or if you give it to a third party, you waive it. But yeah, the right to privacy has got to prevail here.
So what's sort of interesting about this current argument is, you know, the Supreme Court has actually already weighed in on issues with privacy and your own personal phone. Very recently, they determined that, look, if you're stopped by a police officer and you get searched, the search of your phone is not a legal search. You know, you can't be forced to give up your passcode, say. But this is not talking about, these people are deceased. We're talking about going to Apple and getting them to create a password to open a phone.
This transcends so many boundaries: political, social, moral. It goes everywhere, because look at your examples. In example one, police officer pulls somebody over, pulls me over. There's no lock on my phone, but the police officer grabs my phone, doesn't get my consent, goes through it and finds incriminating evidence. The court may very well say, no, you've got to go get a warrant first. I want a neutral, detached magistrate to determine whether or not there is reasonable cause and it's okay for you to grab that phone. Now, let's say the phone is locked. Now, the next question becomes, if I'm alive, do I have a Fifth Amendment privilege against, no, I'm not going to tell you my passcode. No, I'm not going to give you my thumbprint to unlock my phone. Now we've morphed into another problem, which is the defendant is dead. The owner of the phone, and this is also unique because the owner of the phone is the company, not the individual.
Right.
But when you have a situation now, you have to go to a third party, and not just to get the information to unlock the phone. You actually saying, I need you to create something. We are going way too far. This is not Big Brother. This is like Big Brother, father, grandfather, great-grandfather. This is not what the Constitution envisioned. The problem is, at the time of the drawing of the
no
Constitution,
internet.
we didn't have no cell phones, no internet.
Right. But so, and I think, you know, the question that a lot of people are going to have is this. At the end of the day, when the government says, look, I just need it for, because a lot of people are freaking out about terrorism. And so that.
I swear, I just need it for this.
I just need it for this. It's terrorism. You know, you're scared of, everybody's scared of ISIS.
Argument.
You know, we just need to stop more of these terrorist attacks from happening. We think we can do that if we just get access to this one phone. The problem I think a lot of people have is, well, okay, you say that this time. But the next time, it could be whatever else it is that we are going through, living through in the times. And that's you didn't want to use the cliche, the slippery slope.
I hate the term slippery slope, but that's exactly because today it's a pending terrorist attack. Tomorrow it's going to be a possible future terrorist attack. Then the next day it's going to be, well, it's not a terrorist attack, but somebody could get killed. And then the next day it's going to be, well, I want to stop someone from committing a fraud. So it may be all good intentions, but in the society that we live in, the democratic society that we live in, I have a right to go home and know no one's kicking my door in for no reason, no one's grabbing my stuff for no reason. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a constitution, and we'd be a very, very different country. So really what it comes down to, what is your tolerance for pain? How much pain can you tolerate to be free and to be left alone before you say, I don't care, I'll give up all my freedom, I just want to be kept safe? And I don't think we're prepared to answer that question, and that really should be an answer for Congress, and maybe it should be put to all of us as citizens. Throw a vote out there to the country and let the citizens decide, what is my tolerance for pain to be free? What is my tolerance for pain to be safe?
Yeah, and we know what the road to good intentions sometimes leads to.
Gets awfully bumpy.
Yeah, it really does. Randy Zelin, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.